Hi, I'm Andrew Holzman of Family Tree Counseling Associates. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist who works in Carmel, Indiana with my group at Family Tree Counseling. And I wanted to talk about a subject called alcoholism. And I call this video Alcoholism, a Vehicle for Avoidance. And I'm titling it that because alcoholism is a way to numb your pain. It's a way to feel great in the short term, except in the long term it's not so great. You're taking care of yourself, you're medicating yourself, you're finding ways to, in the short term, feel good, drinking and drugs, and it works in the short term, except what an alcoholic might say is, and will say, is they feel very overwhelmed. They feel a lot of pain. They're functioning at a level which looks good, but inside doesn't feel good. So alcoholics can be heads of corporations, they can be great moms, great dads, and function very highly, look like they're $1,000,000, but they can be in a lot of pain inside, and it's just a sham. It's just an outside, external way to make yourself feel better because you're not dealing with the deeper issues, whatever those deeper issues are, the shame, the pain, the family of origin issues, the fears, the worries, the life being overwhelming. You waste a lot of energy trying to take care of yourself by avoiding those feelings. Sometimes alcoholics drink to bring out those feelings. They may drink and then cry or scream or have feelings, and sometimes get into fights, sometimes just do it by themselves and kind of express those feelings. Other times alcoholics drink to have fun and just to avoid kind of the sense of loss and pain that they're going through. Like I said, alcoholics can function very highly, but there's this unfunctional piece inside, the functional unfunctionality. You look like $1,000,000, but you're inside in pain. I was reading about a famous actor who he was a pretty heavy alcoholic, and as a pretty heavy alcoholic, he would drink and get drunk all the time and have blackouts, but when it was time to work, he would get up, show up at the set, spend a few minutes or a half an hour getting ready, and appear on the set like nothing had happened, like he was, like he can do great, and he would continue that until eventually caught up with him, and his looks faded, and his ability faded, and eventually died of his disease. So alcoholism, in many ways, of course, is a killer. It's a killer physically, it's a killer emotionally, it's a killer of relationships, it's a killer of so many things that just we want to be in our life. We want these relationships to be good and stable, and no one wants to destroy themselves. Not every alcoholic, of course, destroys himself. And how do you get help with that? Well, be great if you could not be addicted, but that's pretty difficult. I think what happens is, for some people, they destroy themselves. And some people get to the place where they go, whoa, they get a wake-up call. They find something within themselves to go to AA, to go to group therapy, to go to individual therapy, to get into recovery, because their life is just a shambles. They've gone through their second or third divorce, or they've gone to many relationships. They've been in many relationships that have not worked, or they've lost their job, or somehow they're seeing the effects of it. Sometimes you go to AA and you go, these people are not like me. These people are messed up. They're lost all their relationships and all their income, and they've been on the street, and they are a mess. They're just horrible. They're just terrible. There's nothing, similar to what I'm going through. And you may have to go through that if you're an alcoholic or someone who has a problem but is not ready to see it. So you're going to compare yourself. I see that even in group therapy, even with people who are not alcoholics, people who are just have emotional relationship issues. They'll compare themselves to others. I don't think that's a bad thing, and I don't think that's an unlikely thing. I think we do that all the time. The difficulty with that is it lessens our own pain. So our own pain is just as important, and it's important, and as important to us, and very important to us, even if we're not terrible, even if we're not a total, mess. We still have to deal with our life and our pain. So you might go to AA, you might go to group and see these other folks are in terrible straits and give up after a while, say, well, I'm not that bad, I can manage it. And that's, of course, a trap, and of course, a danger. You don't want to get to the place where you're comparing your own self and saying, well, my pain's not that great. And hopefully that doesn't last. There's always some kind of recidivism with any kind of therapy. You're going to fall back. You're going to not take care of yourself for a while. You're going to try out working it out on your own. And that's, you might have the power to do something about that, but typically people just go into the same pattern, whether it's drinking or the emotional issues that they haven't resolved. So, that's that deal with the devil, that unfunctionality, that way of medicating yourself and taking care of yourself just doesn't go anywhere. And then hopefully, a few months, or hopefully not too long, you end up back in some kind of recovery to take care of yourself and to look at yourself. Because you waste a lot of energy when you're drinking. You waste a lot of energy trying to appear normal and take care of yourself, and it's such a deep sickness. It's such a deal with the devil. I had a client who said that her drinking exaggerates what's inside of her, and she was so frustrated with it. She just couldn't, eventually, it took a little while, eventually take care of herself and deal with that. Other clients have, ruined their relationships. Their spouse or their significant other feels so alone, and they're just coming home from work and drinking every night and falling into a stupor, or drinking every weekend and not hanging out with the family, not taking care of anything. It's just such a way that you're dealing with your pain that is inadequate, because it just keeps on going and it eventually ruins your health. And therapy, recovery, AA, are ways of looking at your pain. At least doesn't cure it, doesn't make anything go away, but at least you're saying, okay, here is the problem. I'm going to at least try to look at this and avoid this same way of doing something over and over again, because I don't want to be numb anymore. I don't want to avoid what I'm going through. I want to pay attention to it. I want to take care of myself in a different way. And that's what therapy is, and that's what recovery is, and that's what AA and group are ways of doing something different, of changing the perspective and changing the way that you've always done it. Because alcoholics feel confused and sick inside. They feel like they're living a fake life. They're always overwhelmed. And if you're always overwhelmed and you're always in pain, but you don't even know it sometimes, then you keep on doing the same thing over and over again. But if you look at it, then you have the chance to say, well, maybe this is at least a beginning. And certainly stopping drinking doesn't make you better, doesn't change everything. It just gives you the opportunity to kind of deal with it without avoiding it. So I have a client who's an alcoholic, and he stopped drinking. He's been not drinking for several years now, but the issues are still there. In fact, the issues are, got better for a while with him and in his relationship with his wife, but those issues are back again, because what he was drinking is now something that we can deal with, because it's not being buried all the time. So now it takes a long slog to get to healthiness, to get to something that you want, to even pay attention to it. Because a lot of the time what he was saying was, I don't know. I don't know what I want. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I feel. And now he can do that. He can at least pay attention to that. He can at least pay attention to the pain of his wife and his children. He can at least kind of start that emotional journey, which he could not do before. And that's a painful journey, but it's a much better place than killing yourself. So, thank you for listening. Again, my name is Andrew Holzman. My number is 317-457-8668. I work at Family Tree Counseling. I work with couples. I work with individuals. I have 30 plus years of experience, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.